Hello everyone, and welcome to another special edition of Hotfix, featuring Super Mario Land 1 and 2. In case you were not aware, the 30th anniversary of Super Mario Land 1's release was earlier in April. And we have some good runners here to race the first two games as a quick celebration of these classic games from the Game Boy. First off today, we're going to have Ape versus Retroverse, racing Super Mario Land 1 any percent. And then after that, we're going to have Oh Dear versus Beast Frisian. I'm not sure if I'm saying that quite right. I'm sorry if I got it incorrect for Super Mario Land 2 Glitchless. But before we get started on the commentary too much, we do have a few quick things to go over. As a reminder, RPG Limit Break starts next week, May 5th. You can go to rpglimitbreak.com to check out all the information on that week-long charity event raising money for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are going to have a special edition of the Sprint during RPG Limit Break with a guest host. That's going to be on the 7th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Right after RPG Limit Break, we've got Frame Fatale, starting on the 12th, and you can find the schedule there at gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. And for SGDQ dates, prize submissions are open if you go to gamesdonequick.com, and on the left side there's a link there to look at the prize submission guide and to submit prizes. And right next to that link is also the panel submissions link. And panels are closing tomorrow. If you want to submit a panel to have at SGQ, you need to get that information in today or tomorrow. Otherwise, it is going to be too late. Other than that, volunteer schedule should have gone out today. If you don't have it yet, just wait. It might show up in your email box a little bit late, but we have with us Oh Dear helping us commentate the first game. Why don't you give us a quick intro on the runners here for Super Mario Land 1?
Yeah, hello. Welcome from me as well. So we have Ape, a Japanese runner. Very good at running this game. Has been practicing and grinding this game a lot over the last couple of weeks. He originally runs Super Monkey Ball 2, but has also dabbled in other Game Boy games like Super Mario Land 2, which is my favorite, obviously. And he usually streams on Nico Video, but if you want to follow him on Twitch, that's also fine. It's Ape25 here. On the other side, we have Retroverse from Virginia, USA. And I think SML is his only speedrun. He will tell me otherwise if it's not the case, but I think it's his only one. And interestingly enough, both runners have started running this game about at the same time, like a year ago, then took a tiny break of half a year and just came back just in time to be fit for this little showcase here. So that's what we're going to see. So they are both very well trained and in shape for this. And I guess we're just waiting for them to start now.
Yeah, it says both of them are ready, so let me just make sure we're ready on our end, and then we can get started here in a moment. So this run, I've been told multiple times, is not marathon safe. What is the big danger of what could happen during this run?
The big danger is that you run out of lives and get scared and try to go for strats that you haven't practiced. Like safe strats are usually not something you see in this game. So if, like through nervousness or something like that, life losses happen, we might see the runners play very carefully at some point. Because if they go game over, they have to start over again. There's no continue until you get 100,000 points, which is usually in the last stage. So I hope we're not going to see that, and I don't think we're going to see that.
Okay. Well, both the runners are ready and our production is ready, so let me tell them countdown starting shortly. And we're just going to count them down in Discord because neither of them are super familiar with SRL. So I'm going to count out loud while I'm typing and then try to hit the start timer at the same time. It should be close enough. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And we are off on Retro's side. I guess the connection to Japan takes a bit longer. Okay, there we go. Not sure how if we can resync in any shape or form.
Let's try that again.
Because in this game, it actually can't matter if one runner starts like 5 seconds later than the other.
Yeah.
The
seeing
PBs
if I
are
can get them to
within 15 seconds.
I'm seeing if I can get them to restart. Yeah, we got retroverse paused.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think...
I'm hoping Ape will notice. He might just keep going. Oh no.
I mean, he hasn't been in many international marathons so far.
Okay, there we go. Just responded.
Yeah, good.
We're gonna try that.
And I will try to keep an eye on chat, but please excuse me if I miss any particular questions. Because there are, well, might be a few things worth mentioning and that you might not get immediately.
Alright, I'm just making sure they're both ready for a second try here.
Okay, so we already had our first reset, yeah. Yeah, and in the meantime, I just see it popping up in chat.
3, 2, 1, go.
I don't see Ape on the starts. Oh, there we go.
I think we might just have a delay on his stream.
Yeah. Guess we have to live with that. Yeah, while we're on the way, let's just go. The first stage, as you can see, is just holding right run and jump when needed. You just saw Retroverse see a very, like the only precise jump in the first level, and you will see Abe doing it right when he crosses this fly enemy there. It's like a 2-frame jump. To jump under that enemy, don't get slowed down and over the pipe. It's like the big first reset point of this run. And both of them managed to play the first level perfectly there. Didn't lose a single frame. It's very similar in the second stage. There is no obstacle in your way except for a pyramid. And that kind of pyramid makes an appearance in 2 levels. This one right there. Retroverse on the right gets it perfectly. You have 3 frames for the initial jump and 2 frames for the jump off the pyramid staircase. You just saw Ape missing it. And that's... Oof. We have a death from Ape there. That could be interesting. But yeah, optimally you can play the first 3 levels without losing a single frame. Ape is in a bit of trouble. While Retroverse traverses the 3rd level, the pyramid. You can see this is going very quickly if it goes well. Here's the next pyramid jump for Retroverse. Gets it perfectly again, like he's on fire. And we will soon face the first boss. So this game is, just mention that really quick, 12 levels long, 4 worlds, each 3 levels. At the end of each world there awaits an enemy, the boss of the game, boss of the stage. You can either kill the enemies with like 5 power balls, or you can just jump over them and hit the switch behind them, which our runners will be doing in the speedrun. After each zone boss, you can see this little cutscene with the fake Daisy and the enemy jumping away. There's actually a relevant piece of tech in there, not tech, but you can... there's pretty much every second frame the animation changes. Either the enemy jumps off screen in 3 jumps or in 4 jumps, and that is a difference of 11 frames. That's all I wanted to say. We have one more death on Retroverse's side this time, which, well, doesn't quite sync up our runs yet again, but we are getting close to like 1 death difference here. And both runners are at 1 life, so they can only die once more. Which, you know, I said it before that it shouldn't happen, but we are in that situation now that we could see a game over. Interesting on Ape's side there. He was going for an insanely difficult jump. And he goes for it again, and he gets the game over. The jump he was trying to go for is pretty much frame perfect. You cannot hold your jump button for longer than 2 frames there. And yeah, I totally take the blame for commentator's curse here. This can still kind of even out, but yeah, with Retroverse sitting at 1 life himself, he will not lose a life in this stage, commentator's curse, but World 3 has very many death pits, and as I said, runners are not really used to save and backup strats, and there are some almost frame perfect tricks upcoming in World 3, so we actually might see this even out again. While we are on Retroverse's screen here, the levels in World 2 and 4 are auto-scroller levels. Here you have a submarine, in World 4 you have an airplane, and there's an interesting trick in the version 1.0 of this game, where if you get pushed off the screen to the left by an obstacle, you actually don't die if you hold the left D-pad button, and that can be used to skip the boss, which is a pretty cool looking strat, and if you haven't seen that one before, you will be surprised by how that looks. There's a slight chance of soft locking the game there, because you can actually land behind the switch that you have to hit, and then you have to pretty much let the timer run out. You see Retroverse setting up for it now. So he got the first part, and he got the second one. So he's on the right side of the screen, you just don't see him there. And he hit the switch off screen, which you, well, can tell by how the screen scrolling will look like. This trick was discovered by a runner called Jesus FTB. I think, now I'm starting to lie. I think the year of the discovery was 2015. Don't ask me. So yeah, he found out about the setup. I think it's not even in the TAS. So it took some years to get fully implemented into the speedruns. And like today, there are very consistent setups. Back then, it was a really risky strat to go for. And I'm really glad that we saw it done by Retroverse so perfectly. We also saw that he got some extra lives in the bonus game, which gives me time to talk about bonus games, I guess. Normally, in the speedrun, you don't want to see a lot of lives in the bonus game, because the lives count up gradually, depending on how many you get. So 3 lives is, I think, 3.5 seconds slower than getting 1 life. And on the left side, you saw Abe going for... he's crazy. He went for the 1 frame jump again, and this time he got it. Again at 0 lives, though. This goes so quickly. On Retro's side, you just saw an attempt at the boulder jumps. You can... like, it's a very, very tight jump. You have to jump at the boulder coming down from the sky, and then jump off it at a certain height to cross the gaps with the spike pits. And effectively, I think if you do both boulder skips, you save over 12 seconds compared to not doing it at all. It's a really, really big chunk of time. Yeah, the stage Retro is on right now is... as a kid, I found it terrifying. Not exactly because of the spiders, but because it's so tight everywhere and there are so many death pits. In the speedrun, it kind of gets almost trivial, except for a few tight spaces. But it's not that troubling a level as like the one before. And he went through it just fine. But yeah, if you want to pay attention to the screen wrap glitch again, April gonna do it in about 90 in-game seconds. And yeah, for those in chat who are wondering, you may have been able to tell by my accent, I'm indeed German. Retro did a really, really nice cycle skip there. You can... whoops. That doesn't count as commentator skills. The cycle skip on the moving platforms, like the flying platforms you went for, is really tight. You have to get your jumps off on the first or second frame after landing on the platform in order to even get a chance to reach the next one. And he got that perfectly. The death he took only cost him 6 seconds. It's the fastest death in the game, except for running off immediately in a level. So now on Ape's side, second time for the screen wrap. I think he uses a very consistent setup, so I don't expect him. No, I don't say it. And there we go, perfectly executed. So the power-up Retro is hoping for here is the Super Ball flower. It's not a fire flower in this game. It's called Super Ball flower, and he gets it. And it lets you shoot a Super Ball. And with that you can shoot a few enemies here and skip like having to wait for them. And you also want to be a big Mario here to damage boost later on. So yeah, Retro is on a really good marathon pace here. You see him grab this star here. There's a very, very, very difficult strat to skip the star and shoot all of these enemies in his way. You can see there are a lot of enemies here. Shoot all of them with the flower. And so far nobody has gone for that strat in serious attempts. So we usually take the star. You also see Retro like maneuvering through the stage like crazy, like he's on a great pace. And you want to do that on this stage because there are so many enemies, and the longer you have them on screen, the more this lags. Game Boy games are notorious for creating a lot of lag. And in that stage it's really, really bad. Ape also didn't get the second boulder skip. That's something they might even like skip completely in marathon attempts.
It didn't look like he went for it.
Yeah, he was Small Mario. He couldn't. But I'm not sure if he like went for a different setup before that. The section Retro is in right now is also really difficult. It's so tight. You can see it. There are like one tile gaps. And you have to be really quick to carry your star power over to where the piranha plant comes out of the pipe. Otherwise you have to wait for like 3 or 4 seconds. It looks like Ape is making some meters or yards here. Sorry, Americans. He's playing really well now as well. But at this point, I don't think we will gonna see a lead change anymore. Retro has enough lives, and the stage again is an auto-scroller. If you want, you can do the screen wrap here again. It doesn't really matter that much. If you wanna like just skip all the dodging of the bullets here, you can just like move slightly off screen and just stay there. Nothing will hit you. It's a really, really chill strat here. Not sure if we will see either of the runners go for that. Some runners prefer just shooting things to not get bored. On Ape's side, we just saw one of those rare cases in this game where you actually have to press left at some point. Like it's a very fast-paced game. Yeah, the world record for this is currently 12:25. I actually personally don't expect we will see this time get beaten at any point. That's a challenge to you out there. Yeah, it's a really solid time. Ape is currently trying to improve his time. He is at 12:31, so 6 seconds behind. And the tricks you have to go for at that point, on top of getting lucky in the bonus games. You cannot actually manipulate the bonus games, by the way. That's also a challenge to you out there. If you can find a manipulation, go for it. Because the RNG changes it on every frame, and you have to like pretty much find clusters of advantageous frames, and I've tried it, I couldn't really get to it. So on Retro's side, we just saw the last normal boss, and now he's already on the final boss. if you mash fast enough, which he did, and that is time. Yeah, you can just abuse your iframes and just keep mashing. And optimally, he will not go off screen. Even if he goes off screen, your iframes would still persist for him to come down, and you can shoot him 2, 4, 5 times more, and he dies. Yeah, that was a like 13-18 or 13-15. I don't exactly know. Was like this is a very, very, very solid marathon run.
Yeah, that seems like a really good time for a marathon.
Yeah, especially for like Retro. Retro came back to the game like a month, 2 months ago, after like his first stint a year ago, and he was sitting at a 13:30-ish at that point. And then when he came back, he started like improving immediately and really significantly. And he's also sitting at a time of I think 12:45 now, which is a really, really good time. And he can beat that time. So let's see if Ape goes for some off-screen shenanigans in the last level. It's one of those levels where you can actually die, but you shouldn't, and because you think you can't, you start to mess around, and then mistakes happen. That was an intentional commentator's curse, because Ape just got hit there. There's also like one thing to point out here, which we hopefully will not see. I'm pushing it now, right? Whenever you get an invincibility star, there's a slight chance that you might soft lock the game, because if the last note of the star song, like this star song, coincides with a certain note in the soundtrack of the level, it just soft locks. The screen freezes, it's over. On the last level, it's happened to runners, it's happened to me. It's you don't feel good if that happens. It didn't happen here so far. But Ape is going for the star. So we'll see. Will also be a nice end to show off that glitch. It's super rare. I think I have like 1.2k attempts in this game, and it's happened to me like 2 or 3 times. That's how rare it is. It didn't happen for Ape. We'll probably see some more screen wrapping here. This is the perfect place to do it. So collecting all these coins, not quite getting all of them. It's one of those challenges you can like set for yourself while you're bored in this level. Yeah, he's going for it again. So just hold left here. As long as you have version 1.0 of the game, you just reappear on the right side. So he's effectively out of bounds here. He wouldn't otherwise be able to be here. As a way to like set up like a nice positioning for the last boss, the cloud here, Biokinton, I think it's its name. Yeah, it's not too difficult. I think I don't know how many shots you need for that boss. I think it's 16 for Tatanga. And he also gets it perfectly. It's time for him. So yeah, after that initial death in stage 2-1 for Ape, that game over, he came back strong. Like that's the 3 minutes he lost at the beginning. So those were some nice runs of both our racers here. Congrats to Retro again. And
it was a good run.
Yeah, GG for Ape, finishing, pulling through.
Thank you so much, Oh Dear, for walking us through this run. And we are going to go to a break here real quick. But before we do, I'd just like to remind you that Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions. So if you could please consider subscribing to support future broadcasts, we would very much appreciate it. But after this, we're going to be switching over to Super Mario Land 2, where Oh Dear is going to be racing Beast Friezian, and we're going to bring in someone else to commentate. So we'll be back in just a few minutes while we switch over games. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us through that short break. We're going to be moving on to Super Mario Land 2, where it's going to be any percent glitchless with Oh Dear and Beast Friezian. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm not. I haven't been corrected yet. But just as a reminder, RPG Limit Break is next week. Sprint is going to be on May 7th. During that with a guest host. Frame Fatale right after that, May 12th. You can find a schedule for that at gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. And if you want to submit prizes or a panel to SGDQ, go to gamesdonequick.com. And on the left side, there's links for both of those. Panel submissions close tomorrow. But we've got a new commentator here with us to help walk us through Super Mario Land 2. Why don't you introduce yourself and the runners here real quick for us?
Well, thank you very much. My name is Dad Infinitum, formerly known as Flash Infinity. If anyone watched ADDQ in the past couple of years, I was running this game. But here we have two runners with even better times than me. We have Oh Dear, who's been holding the world record of this game for a couple of years now, and Beat Frisian, who just recently took up to second place with a 26:31, getting 2 PBs back in December. Deer has the world record, the only runner currently with under a 26:30 with a 26:27. So we're going to be seeing the glitchless today. So no glitches in this one. We're going to see the entire game, all 6 bosses, and then Wario himself.
All right, I'm just making sure the runners are ready to get started. It looks like we should be ready to start here very shortly. So Super Mario Land 1 is very different than what people are used to for seeing for normal Mario games, but I know this one's closer. What are some of the big differences still that we're going to be expecting to see?
There's definitely a unique power-up in Super Mario Land 2. You'll see in one of the early levels we'll definitely get to talk about. There's an introduction of a spin jump. We've got kind of an open world to traverse to determine which level we want to go to. So there's a lot of unique things that they did with Super Mario Land 2 that kind of sets it apart from the others. It's definitely a lot different than Super Mario Land 1. Super Mario Land 1 definitely feels a lot more like Super Mario Brothers 1. This one kind of feels almost more like Super Mario World. Just like draw some vague comparisons. But hopefully both runners, if everything goes as planned, they'll both be taking the same route. So won't see any divergence unless something goes wrong.
Yeah, because you can potentially have them go to different worlds after the first level, right?
They could, but the biggest one's going to be after the 4th boss, the Witch, which we'll get to. Very specific. Power-ups are a big thing in this game. Keeping the power-ups.
We're just waiting for both the runners to say that they are ready.
The big difference here between the two runners, Oh Dear is playing on a Super Game Boy 2, while Beast Frisian is playing on a emulator.
I think he's ready, but he hasn't given me the actual confirmation, so I'm just trying to make sure. So what's your favorite song from this game? Because this song has a lot of unique songs that people really remember.
There are. I actually like Pumpkin Zone 3, which is actually a mashup of a song from Super Mario Land 1. And kind of like a take on the theme from Super Mario Land 2. I know everyone loves the Star song, but I save that for people, who commentate for me.
Alright, we're going to start the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so again, Super Mario Land 2, kind of your typical Mario, run to the right, jump on some enemies, get to the end of the level. We won't always run right, though. One of the things you'll see very soon up here when we get to a piranha plant is our runners trying to jump a little bit higher. They're doing what's called a super jump, which allows them to jump higher than you normally would be able to, and it looks like Beast was able to get that jump. Deer didn't quite get it. So it allows them to just keep moving at full speed without slowing down at all. You'll also see them jump at very specific places, trying to hit the corner of blocks. That's a corner boost. Ideally, it gives them one extra frame, or one extra pixel. It just bumps them forward very, very small amount. Added up over the whole course of the run, it might add up to half a second. So it's not super significant, but every little edge helps, and it looks a little cool. So you see, once we get out of Mushroom House, we've got the open world. We go in a mostly clockwise order. So we go to the left, we enter Tree Zone 1. Again, you'll see them corner boosting in some places. Another thing that the runners will be doing is monitoring their kill count. In this, that's the third item down on the HUD at the bottom, next to the little odd-looking Goomba face. And they want to have a very specific kill count by the end of the game, which is 99 before they enter the castle. We'll get to why that is a little bit later, but this level is great for picking up a lot of kills, and we'll check back in like Pumpkin Zone and Mario Zone to make sure they're reaching like little milestones they keep track of. If for some reason they're off by a little bit, they can usually adjust a little bit. So you just saw this game does introduce a spin jump. So when you jump, if you hold down, Mario will do a spin. If you do it from above a block, you can actually get the power from above, which is a little bit more unique to this game. The others will notice when they go by those cowfish, the hitboxes on some of these things are very, very odd. And here we have the unique power-up, which is the bunny ears. As you can notice, they can flutter, and for the most part, they can flutter almost indefinitely. So, to do perfect fluttering, they need to actually hit the button every 8th frame, or 7.5 times a second, which, frankly, is not super doable. So, they do it as best they can, just so they can stay up as high as, or as long as they can. Alright, so we were talking about super jumps. Here's the first level where super jump is pretty necessary. So you see them get pretty high on that jump just so they can hit this platform right here. So what a super jump does, typically the maximum jump you can do is 69 pixels, and it occurs if you hold for 27 frames or longer. But if you let go of the jump button between 21 and 26 frames, you can jump for up to 77 pixels, which is 8 pixels higher than normal. So they get super jumps are actually really, really useful. You'll see us in Tree Zone 5 here. There's a lot of visual cues to know when we want to jump, when we want to fall. There's a very specific jump we're going to do for a fire flower here. The runners are going to take it safe. Oh, deer, going with the very fast strat there. A little bit more dangerous. If you hold jump when you hit the top, hit a platform with your head, and you're holding jump, you'll fall immediately. So you gotta be very careful with that kind of jump there. So, when you the old strat in this was to keep the bunny ears and then fight the bird. But as you notice, fire flower, when you have fire, you can kill the bird very, very quickly. So that's the only reason they have flower here. But for the most part, power-up management is very, very important, especially when we exit boss levels. So we're pretty even here to start. And we're going to enter the Hippo level, which is our gateway to Space Zone. And the Hippo level features the bubble, which, if you hold jump, you will just float in the air. You don't need to press right, you don't need to press run. You simply hold jump, and that's it. And they just got to get to the very end of this level and take the top exit. The bottom exit, actually, in case you never took it for any reason, will actually exit you back on the map past Macro Zone. Just a fun little fact about that. There's a second exit right below this goal. You can see it there. They don't kill any enemies in that level because it does cause lag. Lag is a huge thing in this game, just as it was in Super Mario Land 1, so we'll see that. Space Zone 1, this is the only level that has what we call moon physics. So you'll notice that the runners here stay on the ground as much as possible. You actually run slightly faster running on the ground than you do when you're jumping. So they're going to stay on the ground as much as possible. They're going to keep their power up until the very end, and then they're going to abuse iframes to run through some enemies. Not going to necessarily say damage boost because they're not going faster. They're just getting hit and then using that. So Beast took damage there. He didn't want to actually get hit quite. As you can see, Deer running through these spikes both sets instead of having to jump too. So they're going to exit small, which is fine, because in Space Zone 2, we've got space physics, so we can float to the top, and we're going to get some power-ups. We're going to listen to the best song, as everyone says. I'm not going to sing it for you, unfortunately.
Aww.
I know. I'm sorry. To be fair, it's nothing like Ice Plug singing, so I would just ruin it.
Yeah, Ice Plug did an amazing job at it.
It's the reason I invited him on the couch. What I will do is go ahead and fill this time and tell you a little bit about the history of this category, because the reason this level has such a great song is because this is a 2-minute long auto-scrolling level. Like, it has to have a good song. So, this category on speedrun.com, first world record was back in 2012 by Carl Sagan, 42. It was 28:02. It took a year for it to go down to 27:27 by Almagus, and then down to 26:38. A few runners got it down, Piraeus, Mug 1991, and Laplacier, who held that record for 2 years. And then finally, O'Deer took it by 0.3 of a second to 26:37. And basically, since December 2015, O'Deer has had this world record. And he's just kind of improved it by 10 seconds every 5 to 10 months. He's improved it by about a second or two every 5 to 10 months. And now we're down at a 26:27. So, we're ending the end of this level here. You see Beast grabbing the star. It's 100% unnecessary. It does get you out of listening to the song if you're not a big fan of it. But you can just make it through this maze without it. The boss we're about to face, though, is Tatonga, which you just saw enough of. So, this one here, again, you can buffer inputs against bosses. So they're going to be holding jump, and then they're going to go right at Tatonga and try to get him as quick as they can. You can get it in one cycle, but that takes very, very quick timing. You have to hit it, Tatonga with 4 fireballs before you start jumping on him. So that didn't happen there, and unfortunately, both of them got hit twice. Ideally, they only get hit once. Getting hit twice, they do have to get a mushroom to start Macro Zone 1. There's 2 different ways to do this. There's a safe way to do it and a not-so-safe way, so we'll see which way they go. Considering Deer already went with the risky strat in Tree Zone 5, he might go for the more dangerous way here. So we'll see what they do. We'll talk about them there. And they need to get a mushroom because they need to have a fire flower in order to get out of this level the quick way. It looks like Beast is going... They're both going for the more dangerous quote-unquote backup. The safe way is to go down and get the mushroom. They're going to go up and get a carrot and try to get down quickly to still hit the platform on the bottom. Alright, and both of them do it, so that was great. They need to damage boost up here. That way they can grab the fire flower, because with a carrot you can't spin jump. Alright, so now that they have the fire flower, they're going to go to the next section. They need to break some blocks with the fire flower to get to the secret exit. The secret exit will allow them to skip 2 longer levels to take a shorter auto-scroller, which may seem a little counterintuitive to take an auto-scroller, but because it's so short and it's only 1 level as opposed to 2, it's much faster. Those blocks aren't the easiest to break either. you technically are supposed to go to the right to hit the block on the right, but with some very specific maneuvering, you can hit both of them. You can actually hit both at once, like very kind of frame perfect there. But all right, so this auto scroller again, they just don't want to die. So you'll see a lot of spin jumping, a lot of just messing around on the platforms. So I'll talk for a moment about Beast here. Yeah, so again, it's not really a damage boost. It's really kind of just abusing iframes is what they're doing. There's no damage boost for all intents and purposes in the game. Beast, again, like I said, had a couple PBs back in December. He was at a 2635. He got down to a 2633 and then a 2631. So what you see Deer doing, something I did in my run and got told I was doing a glitch. It's not. If you stand up where a 1-tile gap is and you're 2 tiles tall, the game will just push you out of it to the right. That's just the game's intended behavior. So we're here on Macro Zone 4. Again, we're skipping 2 and 3 just to go straight to 4. There's a conveyor belt down here they're going to run along and jump over some spikes. You have to like let go of run at the very end to make that jump, or you run right into the spikes. And there's also a bookcase jump there that's like a really, really tight jump. So they make that as well. They're going to want to keep their fire flower through this. Just, again, power-up management is very, very important. There is a quick kill here, which both runners should be going for. It's very much sound like a sound cue. As soon as this music ends and the mouse comes out, or the rat comes out, they're going to jump just slightly towards them and spam fireballs as fast as they can. There we go. Yeah, Beast jumped a little bit far forward. Still managed to get it. Alright. So we're going to be entering Pumpkin Zone 1. Both runners are around in the 50 range for kills. They need to be at 82 after the next level. So there's going to be a lot of enemies coming up. So again, you see corner boost, killing enemies. They're also shooting enemies like as quick as they can. You see them start jumping and shooting when enemies are still off screen. This is, again, a lot of lag in this level, especially with those spikes coming from the ceiling. So they're reducing lag as much as possible by shooting really early. The stairs there at the end are really, really tricky as well. And the runners are very, very close right now. We've got Pumpkin Zone 2 coming up. These levels are not super technically challenging, like in terms of running. It's just a lot of enemies to kill. So again, we're going to kill some enemies. Up ahead, we're going to have our first instance of swimming. It's a very short swimming section, though. A neat thing that we've learned is that swimming, there's actually different cycles of speed. So sometimes you get fast swimming, sometimes you don't. When we get to the submarine, we can talk a little bit more about how we change that. We've got the pipe room here, which causes a lot of problems sometimes because pipes are only 7 pixels wide. So it's a very small gap. All right. Oh dear. At 83 kills, so he's probably going to skip the rest of the enemies. Beast trying to get up to 82. So they're right where they want to be in terms of kills as we head into Pumpkin Zone 3, where there are no enemies to kill, because all we have are ghosts. Deer hitting the blocks, getting all the coins here at the beginning. A little swag money, as we call it. Coming up here, it's a little bit running left. You'll see they're going to try to drop off really quick. That's why you saw Deer kind of run back there for a second. What they're trying to do is what's called a quick drop, where they get to the very end of a platform and they let go of run at the very last couple pixels in order to drop. And if you're not holding run when you fall off a platform, you fall immediately rather than kind of float off the platform. So you see both runners jump through those boos because, again, hitboxes, they're kind of arbitrary. Where you draw those hitboxes, it just kind of depends. Hitboxes are kind of weird in this game. We're on to the boss level for Pumpkin Zone 4 now. Runners are going to want to grab a carrot, which is a kind of precise jump. You just have to jump at the end of the platform they're going to jump off. At the end, they're going to fight the witch. They have to hit the witch 3 times. What side the witch appears on is random. As you can see in chat, sometimes you guess on what side the witch might appear, be it left, right, left, or left, left, right. People in chat usually guess on which side the witch will appear. Generally, left, right, left is preferred, and according to Deer, statistically more likely. So you see both runners are jumping, predicting that to be the case. Only Deer was correct with the first one, unfortunately. Deer getting way ahead with his predictive jumping just happened to be correct. Okay, do not know
you're back.
voice, but I'm back.
Yeah, we had a minor tech issue there.
Yeah. As I was trying to say, that's where we would have had a route divergence had any of the runners lost their bunny ears. Had they done that, they would have gone through Mario Zone 1 first, got the bunny ears, and then gone down to Turtle Zone 1 so they could flutter over the entire level as you saw. So, as you can see, they are here in Turtle Zone 2, also known as the Submarine, another very long level, very slow. No one likes underwater levels. We also learned that underwater levels have cycle speeds, or different cycles for speed. There's a good cycle and a bad cycle, and it just depends on when you start moving underwater. So, if you have a bad speed, which experienced runners can kind of tell, we just hit the ground and then keep going because that resets your cycle. I think there's 2 out of the 8 cycles maybe that are fast cycles. It's every 8 frames that it resets. So they've kept their power up as long as they can so they can abuse their iframes again at the end to go through the spike guy and the pencils. They're going to use the platforms at the very end to jump to the exit as well. Then we're going to go ahead and fight our 5th boss here in Turtle Zone 3. They enter as Small Mario, which is fine because they're going to grab a carrot right at the beginning. And they're going to go for a very precise iframe abuse. So if they don't hit their head on the ceiling, which you saw Oh Dear complete, you can jump right through that last enemy with just frames to go. There's also a very close little jump there, which you just saw Beast go for. This level is very technically precise the whole way through. Get a little bit more swimming. We're going to get to the octopus at the end. Again, you can buffer inputs for the boss fights. So we're the runners are gonna hold right, spam jump so they can swim up, and then start spamming fireballs to kill the octopus very quickly. If you didn't have fire, you would have to jump on the octopus, and the octopus shoots out little octopuses, and even if the big octopus dies, those little ones can still hit you and damage you. Alright, so we're here on Mario Zone 1. At the very beginning they had some precise super jumps there at the beginning, about only 25 or 26 frames. Remember I said between 21 and 26 frames you can do a super jump, so only those last 2 frames of the super jump will actually get you up to that platform. Again, those hitboxes on those spikes that they were jumping over, you can just jump right over them, no problem. Mario Zone 2, right in the middle of Big Mario, as you can see by the location. Nothing but balls in this level. So we're going to do some more iframe abuse to get past some of the enemies. By the end of this one, we want to have 91 to 92 kills. Because of exactly how many enemies they can kill in Mario Zone 4, that'll set them up to have 99 before the castle. So they're going to take some damage, because there's going to be a guaranteed carrot towards the end here. And they can just jump and float to the end before they enter Mario Zone 3. There are no differences playing this game on any different console, since it's not a Super Game Boy Enhanced game. Here in Mario Zone 3, this is one of the tighter levels. Right, the first Super Game Boy does run faster, so that is to be aware of. So they are going to try to end this level... Sorry, they want to end this level with 91 or 92 kills, not the last one. So they're probably not going to kill much in this one. They are going to take some damage, because they're going to get a Fire Flower towards the end, because they need to damage boost through the very end so they don't take a conveyor belt. Right here. They'll exit as Super Mario to go into the final regular level before we jump into the castle. So these might look like Legos to you, but they aren't. They're what's called Nintendo N&B blocks, which is an actual Nintendo product from like the 60s. They're going to jump on some Goombas on these stairs, which looks really precise, but the jump is actually not too terribly hard. They're going to grab some power-ups. They want to have Fire Flower for entering the fight against the pigs. There's a power-up right here, which they already have the Fire Flower, but they get it because if you don't, you actually cause more lag. So, starting the fight, again, since we can input buffer, they're going to hold up, left, and jump, and then immediately spam fireballs at the pig. There's 3 of them. They're just going to hit them as fast as they can. And they really do not want to lose their Fire Flower here. So both runners have 99 kills, and we're roughly 8-9 seconds apart. So this is going to be a pretty close race into the castle. That much of a difference, there's still enough for Beast to come back without Deer dying. The Wario's Castle, though, if you've ever played this game as a kid, it's a huge spike in difficulty, even if it's a casual player. So we're going to see
a lot of times before I managed to beat it as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've watched speedrunners just try to play through this casually and still get upset at this. I know someone who broke a controller playing through it. So they do have a power up right there at the beginning if they want. You see Deer just do a corner boost and take some damage, because at the end of this section you do want to be Small Mario. So you see Deer fly through those piranha plants, no problem. You do a super jump to start to get over the big one, and you have to do a very precise jump at the end, because if you're holding jump when you hit the ceiling, you fall immediately. So you have to let go of jump very quickly. They're on these propeller platforms now. At the very last one, they're going to jump against the wall. That way the platform that's after that comes quicker, so they can try to skip a cycle. It looks like Deer missed it, which, again, with the small difference between 2 runners, could make all the difference here. As you can see from Beast, there's some Falling Fist in this one. The first 2, if you just run straight through them, it won't hurt you. But the last one, you have to jump Otherwise, the timing is very, very tricky to get through there. We're coming up to some more stairs. They're going to collect a mushroom at the top. After this, there's some bone platforms to get through. You only have to do 2 jumps in this to get on the first you have to get on the first platforms and you can walk onto the other ones, but if you jump on the platforms, you save 7 whole frames of lag, so why not? You can also just run straight under those guys, and as we kill this floating face, you see why the 100th kill matters. You get a star, and then we just run right through the other floating faces. It saves almost 2.5 seconds. So, both runners have Fire Flower as we enter Wario. The big important thing about Wario is this first room. When you scroll the screen to the right, you want the timer to be ending at 0, 4, or 8. And you'll see both runners wait for a moment to make sure that's true, because it makes Wario fall on the earliest possible timing. And both runners here are gonna, again, take some damage just to hit Wario as fast as possible. Time will be when they hit Wario for the 3rd time here in this final phase. Fire Flowers is usually not a problem. Looks like we're just seconds apart. So 26:45, 26:48. Those are some amazing times from both runners. That would be in the top 10 on the leaderboard. So this is amazing marathon timing to get under 27 minutes.
Yeah, it was really solid.
Yeah, I mean, there are no huge mistakes, no deaths, no having to take alternate routes. Like, all around, just very solid run from both of them. If you want to pick this game up, it's not a terribly difficult game. Again, some of the very specific tricks, like learning super jumps, is a little bit tricky. You know, getting Wario's castle down is a little bit harder, but otherwise, this game is not terribly hard to pick up. It's a great game to get into Game Boy speedrunning as well, which has a plethora of games to play, and are kind of overlooked sometimes, but it's a great intro game to both Mario and Game Boy.
All right, so thank you very much for walking us through that race, Dad Infinitum. I just want to say really quick thanks to everybody who was here today. We started with Ape versus Retroverse, and of course had Oh Dear and Dad Infinitum. It was a great little showcase, but we do need to wrap up pretty soon because our production person has to go. They've got stuff to do. But just a quick reminder, RPG Limit Break is next week. RPGLimitBreak.com. Sprint will be happening during that on the 7th with a guest host at 8 p.m. Eastern. Frame Fatale is right after that. GamesDoneQuick.com/hotfix. If you want to submit prizes or a panel for SGDQ, go to GamesDoneQuick.com. On the left side of the screen, there's a link there. And once again, we just want to say thank you everybody who tuned in. Hotfix is funded in part thanks to subscriptions, so please consider subscribing to support future broadcasts. And do you have any final thoughts before we sign off here?
Play more Game Boy games.
Mm-hmm. There's a Discord that's linked on the speedrun.com for both of these games, I'm pretty sure. So if you want to get into it, you can go check that out. But we are going to host you over to Skybills, who's doing a charity thing for St. Jude, and they're running Super Mario All-Stars 4-way race. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to shove you over there. Why don't you throw them some support and watch some more Mario.